So basically, our content standard refers to the fact that students will be able to know how to use money and to use it in the real world with purchases and with different amounts and how much equals what and what this dollar bill is and versus this quarter, to just understand the differences in money and how to use them. So our level of bloom that we will be applying is understand. We believe understand is an important one and is a main one in our lesson because, well, if they're not able to understand, then they're not going to be able to use it in the real world or use it in general, because they need to understand to be able to process it. So our co-teaching method will be station teaching. We believe this is a good way for us to separate ourselves. That way we can give the students the right teaching and the right attention that they need. It's more beneficial when they're separated into smaller groups so they can have more time with the teacher. We believe that when it's 10 on 10 students with one teacher and 10 students with one teacher, it's more clearer to them and they're able to learn and ask questions freely rather than when it's the whole class. So that's why we believe station teaching was a good one. Some barriers that are going to come with station teaching is noise level, and this is sometimes a barrier in most classrooms. It's normal and it's handleable. So I think it's something that's not an easy solution, but something to manage. Another one is considerable time to take to plan. So when we do station teaching, it might take more time to plan and to lesson plan and to process it and figure out the correct ways to teach it to the students. That is time consuming. So some solutions we found for these barriers are to ensure that each group is on task and the noise level remains classroom appropriate. We can, refresh the students' memory and make them understand that, the classroom is at a level 1 right now, so it needs to stay that way. So just to keep, reminding them. And also another solution will be to plan the right type of activity. When the right type of activity is planned, this will save us a lot of time, and it will save time from planning, and we won't waste time when it's the correct activity and it works out the way we anticipated. So some metacognitive statements that I made were that station teaching is a great way to ensure that all students get and understand the material more clearly when it's being taught to them in smaller groups. As I mentioned before, they're able to process and to understand more clearly and have more communication with the teacher, more one-on-one. Maybe it's clearer for them and they won't be so nervous about being in front of the whole class. So evidence of mastery assessment. So what we wrote down here is one-on-one tests, group projects, and show and tell. So one-on-one tests is a good way for the teacher to sit and test the student, see what he knows and what he learned from the material, and what he didn't quite understand or see clearly, we can clearly explain to them and tell them, this is incorrect, you mistaked here, you made a mistake there, just to clearly have one-on-one with them. Group projects where they can work together and they could talk about it and they'll learn from each other. That's a good way. Another one is show and tell. They could bring a certain object they purchased recently, how much it costed, what kind of money did they use? Did they use only bills? Did they use only coins? And they can explain to the class. Some barriers is that the classroom might not stay on task, and another one is not all students will participate and some will be shy. So some solutions to that is to have the classroom do activities that involve little talking, so they won't get off task, and also to make sure that students participate and explain to them that it's important and part of their grade, their participation. So to have them understand that if you don't participate, you don't get as much points, and just make that clear to them. My thoughts were they will be able to ask and communicate with us one-on-one to see if they process the material correctly. As I mentioned before, it's a good way for them to ask questions and to freely express themselves. Okay, and the evaluation, the goal is that students should be able to understand how money and exchange works. So some barriers to that will be the learning disabilities.